Fantasy draft, people.
We just had it last night,
That's right.
so it was exciting.
I got the number 1 pick. Mr. JM over here got the number 2. And yes, I know it's a weak 8-team league, but he got 6. So it's not bad, but we'll see
Not
who has.
great, not terrible.
We'll see who has.
I'm happy with who
team.
I got. I'm happy
Yeah.
with who I got for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
so let's do it.
Shut up and sit down. He is going to draw second is off. Long run, foul territory, Yelich slides. He pulls up that one. And that.
All right, people. So I have the number 1 pick. Unfortunately, without my knowledge, I was on auto draft. I was really trying to get Mr. Trout over here, but that did not happen. I got Mookie Betts, and I am not upset.
Which ain't a bad consolation prize.
It is not a bad consolation prize. So I am not complaining, but I do have a Trout jersey. I love Trout and kind of wish he was on my team. JM, who'd you get in the first pick?
I think this pick is going to surprise a lot of people with who I took. I took Fernando Tatis Jr., of course.
Oh, what a shock.
If it did, surprisingly, there's another Padres fan in our league, like in a league of 8 people who I thought were all from like New Jersey and New York. Somehow there's another guy who likes the Padres in there, and he didn't seem too happy that I took Tatis and then Machado with my next pick. So
we got like 4 Mets fans, 2 Padres fans, and like a Chicago fan.
Yeah.
Quite the bunch.
Yep.
Quite the bunch.
All right, Devin, what was yours?
Well, I had the 6th pick, so I decided, I wanted a little versatility also with my first pick. So I went with Cody Bellinger, who I did say that I would start a franchise with. So why not start a fantasy franchise with him as well? I then turned around and got Francisco Lindor because, it's fantasy. You got to have fun with it. Pick players that you're going to enjoy rooting for. And I'm very much going to enjoy rooting for Francisco Lindor.
I do envy you with the Bellinger spot. I had him, it was either last year or the year before, and the versatility, and he was just my rock. So you're gonna have a good season with that.
I'm pretty excited.
JM, who'd you go next?
Next, I went pitching. With a bit of the controversial rule changes that are coming into place, I will need at least 2 starting pitchers instead of just having all relievers and then putting in 2 starters every day through the waiver wire. Since somebody decided to do a move limit, which I think completely ruins a lot of things.
Nobody knew about it, and that's cheating.
If you don't know about it, it's because you didn't pay attention.
So everyone in the league did not pay attention. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying that they didn't pay attention to what I was doing, and if they had seen, they would have been like, "Oh, you can pick up more than, you can
if
go."
If you think, everyone viewing, if you think you can pick up as many starters as you want at the end of the week, despite
as long as you go in under the limit, yes, that's the rule. And
11
I knew about
out of 12 on Saturday, and then you can pick up anyone you want as much as you want on Sunday.
It's
That's-
called pay, and then pay attention to what the other people are doing. And if you see they're doing that, then you can do the same or try to do the same. I'm sorry, it's not cheating. It's just called knowing the rule and knowing the loophole.
Well, you should know who's available and not injured before you
Yeah.
pick somebody. And we'll get to
True.
that soon. I picked a shortstop next, Trevor Story from Colorado. I think it's a smart pick. I don't see him not doing well at home, especially. And then I went with a starter, Giolito, who JM can't pronounce, from
Giolito.
the Chicago White Sox. And he's going to be a gem for me, and I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. I already said my first two picks. I got Tatis with my first
Alright.
pick, Machado with my second. My third pick was Bueller, so I'm on my fourth pick, so it should be up to Devin.
No, yeah, so I'll go 3-4 now. So with pick 22, a team that we've talked highly about, the Chicago White Sox, I went with Eloy Jimenez because I had him last year and he did great work for me. And this league I won in, so let's not forget that. So I'm
Mhm.
returning someone that helped me out last year, and I'm very happy to have him back. I then came back with pick 27. I decided, I don't have a pitcher yet. I'm gonna go for a young ace out there. I got myself a Jack Flaherty of the St. Louis Cardinals. Figured, if I'm gonna have a good pitcher to start my staff with, I'm gonna go with him.
I wouldn't have gone for him, but that's okay. And to anyone who doesn't know about JM versus Devin last year, they literally had a tie.
Very statistically improbable.
Yeah,
In the
fantasy
championship game, no less.
fantasy baseball, they tie in the finals. How does that happen? So we had to have a tiebreaker.
Wait, but we're forgetting something. I was the higher seed going into
Because
it,
of the,
so the
because of the ridiculous
ESPN
seeding
league
advantage. I had
gave
the better
me the
record in the
win,
regular season. I had the better record in the regular season. I don't get.
but I
how
was the
4-3
higher
team.
seed.
Because
You
you were
shoulda
in a
won your
terrible
division then,
division.
bro.
You were in a
You
bad
should have
division.
won. You should have won your
Yeah, you should
division.
have won your division, man. You should have won your division. Oh, I went 4-3, and I won
And
my
that
division.
is why there's no division this year. It's
Thank
whoever
you.
is best. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this guy won't get lucky again if he goes 4-3 and I go 5-2.
The tiebreaker was they had to run the bases. They're both tall and lanky and they run like gumbo. It's kind of funny.
Well, let's just remember what my team name is in this league. JM runs like Tortuga, which means the turtle or tortoise.
I haven't run the bases in years.
Neither have I.
You got your little Mickey Mouse championship. Squeak, squeak, buddy. You keep squeaking while I win the real thing.
If you guys want, you could have a rematch.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, well, let's talk about my next pick, shall we? Well, I kind of started a bit of a trend for me of taking, well, I guess it started with Fernando Tatis Jr., but I got another son of a former great, and that is Bo Bichette, of course, son of Dante Bichette, who plays for the Blue Jays, Bo Bichette, so I went for him. Also, a little later on, I went for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., it's much to the consternation of a certain Kyle Davis, who like I said on our show, that our regular show we did before the draft and a little bit after the draft due to a recording issue. I said I sniped him. I was like Chris Kyle, and Kyle Davis was like a Middle Eastern jihadist in Iraq, and I just went,
Jeez, man.
and I sniped them and got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. before he did. That was a little later on, but I do want to bring that up. That's a great pick. I also sniped Devin for his boy Michael Conforto. So Chris, you can call me Chris
Well,
Kyle.
I was in round 7. Well, I'll go back. I'll explain why that doesn't bother me as much.
So
Well, I think it bothers
my
you a lot.
fourth pick was, is it Albies or Albies?
Albies.
Thank you. That's what I thought. Okay, so there's my second baseman from Atlanta. And then for my fifth pick, I was so happy he was still around. And I think he is my favorite player on my team. And that is Nolan Arenado, third base, St. Louis, baby.
Brandon Woodruff was who I went with, another starting pitcher with Milwaukee. So I went Bo Bichette, Brandon Woodruff, then Vlad Guerrero Jr. But he was my pick in the 5th round. And I really liked it. I really did like that pick. Brandon Woodruff's a solid starting pitcher. So I have a couple of starting pitchers that I keep around. And then, even though there's an acquisition limit, I think it's like 14, so I'll still be able to add pitchers. Just, the Sunday loophole might not be there as much this year, but I'll figure out a way to win and still try and stack as much, pitching in, because that's a big key. In these ESPN leagues, they put a lot of stock in innings pitched, in strikeouts. Wins get you 5 points, saves get you 3. So relievers are key too, and that explains my later round strategy of really going after relievers late, and stacking up on the relievers, because ESPN's very much a league. And again, this goes into my strategy that I did last year with the ad dropping, is that ESPN it's almost more about stat packing than it is about having the best players. It's all about getting the most numbers in and trying to
Most points.
squeeze the most points out of your team, because everyone's going to have talented players. I mean, the fact is that with fantasy baseball, everyone's going to have the best players in baseball on their
Especially in
roster.
an 8-team league.
Especially an 8-team league. So it's
And
again,
there's still plenty of players on the waiver wire
about
that
that
I'm
extra
looking at.
advantage. It's about that extra advantage, and that goes into my strategy that I did last year, is trying to find that extra advantage.
The second place strategy.
Well, you took the strategy in last week as well, so don't.
Yeah, and if I didn't, I would have just beaten you outright. Just so everyone knows, I pulled a taco. I kind of didn't, participate in the league at some points last year, and it was not until the playoffs began,
There were a
maybe
lot of
halfway through the first week of the playoffs, our commissioner and producer Kyle told me, "Hey, you're in the playoffs, right?" And I responded with, "I made the playoffs."
People who don't know what a taco is, he is a character from the league who just gets stoned and doesn't pay attention to fantasy at all.
So at pick number 38, I was very happy to see him here. I snagged the slugging first baseman from Queens, the polar bear himself, Pete Alonso. And this is why that when JM was saying that, I got under Devin's skin by taking his boy Conforto. No, you really didn't, because I already had 2 Mets in my lineup. And you know what? They're probably going to be the most efficient scorers for the Mets in terms of Lindor and Alonso. How can I not be happy with that?
I think I got under your skin a little bit. That's why you're bringing it up.
You really did not.
Whatever.
Sorry to tell you,
whatever.
you did not.
I think it was a perfect stab at you, though.
Oh yeah, I understood that, and I was like, oh, okay, good for him. Now, a pick that, in hindsight, maybe I went a little early on, but I'm still glad I got him in the 7th round. I was by far the first person to take a catcher. I decided to just lock up JT Realmuto. I feel very good about that, because he's probably going to be the top catcher in baseball.
He will
as he
be.
normally has been. And it definitely helps when I look and I see that in round 23, with pick number 182, I got to snag up my backup catcher, Gary Sanchez, who, look, I don't need him to produce as a starter, but look, if he could come in for that relief for when JT's not playing and, he happens to hit a home run that day, great. That's all I need him to do.
If he happens to, he might strike out
Yeah.
3 times and get you negative points.
Yeah, but he's not going to be my main catcher, so I can live with that for one day.
Or
while
just
JT,
be hurt.
Dominates. Yeah. Another facet of my team that I am very much happy with is my shortstop situation. As mentioned before, I have Francisco Lindor. I also have Javi Baez on my team and Carlos Correa in my utility spot. So I feel very confident with those three. And if I need to make a trade, I definitely know one source of my team where I could definitely dip into without losing overall great production.
I too think I have some strong shortstops with Bo Bichette, Fernando Tatis Jr. I actually have a somewhat decent bench with Gio Urshela and Franmil Reyes and Giancarlo. Good outfield, Michael Conforto, Nick Castellanos, Randy Arena, Tommy Pham I really like. But
Rosarena was a nice pick.
I'm gonna go with a player that I really liked last year that was one of my key contributors on offense, and that's my utility spot, Houston Astros DH Yordan Alvarez. That dude had a very nice year last year, very quietly had a very nice year for me, and had some big moments to help me out. A lot of the focus with me was on pitching last year. But again, I really did like Yordan Alvarez. I hope for a repeat of that this year, and that's why he's on my utility. But the nice thing about utility is if it doesn't work out, you can just put it's a plug and play position. You can put anyone in there.
Basically, my next picks were great. I got Blake Snell, San Diego, and I got Josh Hader on Milwaukee. I don't think I could have asked for a better duo. I added another Colorado player. I wasn't really conscious of it, but he looked like the perfect outfielder for me, and that's Charlie Blackmon. Matt Olson and Chapman, I was very happy to get also as a duo. I got too many Oakland guys and too many Dodgers, but as of right now, I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, Kyle, I gotta say, I'm very, very surprised about one player in particular.
I know
on
which
your
one
bench.
I know which one you're talking about too. And I felt like shit when I picked him up.
Wait, you got Justin Turner?
Yep.
And for anyone who doesn't freaking know about my stance, if nobody knows about my stance on Justin Turner, is that I freaking hate that guy. He left the Mets, not left them, but whatever. He's not on our team. He's got this scraggly ass, ginger ass beard, and it frustrates the shit out of me. And ask any girl, any woman, anybody, would you rather have me or Devin's beard? Or would you rather have the scraggly piece of shit that only...
I think they would go with Justin Turner because he makes the money, buddy.
That's the only reason someone can pull that off. That's the only way someone can pull it off.
But we
do not have millions of dollars, so we keep our beards in check. And they look nice and groomed.
Let it be known, though, I would rather have Justin Turner's beard than be like JM and be clean shaven and look like a little 12-year-old child.
Well, that's because you look like a 12-year-old child without the beard.
Yeah.
Max Muncy, I was really glad to pick up, but I would have rather had DJ LeMahieu. And the only reason I'm comparing the two is because they're both versatile. They both can do first, second, and third. And as JM sniped me with Vlad, my friend Ian sniped me with DJ. Yep. So DJ slipped away from me. But I got two Baltimore guys. I know no one is watching Baltimore, but if you saw last year and the year before, you would see that Santander and who was it? Mountcastle. They did wonders for me. They get home runs. That's all they do. And they don't strike out very often. You got Real Muto, Devin. I got Will Smith, and I was very happy with that. We both have undroppables right now. JM, who'd you get for catcher?
Salvador Perez.
All right, so we're pretty much set.
Surprised it wasn't the Padres catcher.
So we're pretty much set on the catchers between the three of us.
Yeah.
And I'll stop there. Well, let's rip our teams apart now.
Mike Soroka, I see he's on your bench. You were kinda in our text
Yep.
chats. You were kinda low on
You
Soroka,
you were ripping on Soroka.
and then you draft him. I know
You-
he's on your bench, but still,
Well, we have the
Button.
IL spots, so
okay.
he was
Okay.
available towards the end of the draft. I know he's got a high upside, and then, if he's healthy, he's the guy. He was the guy that looked like to be the ace of the Braves' future, and he did wonders for Kyle last year when healthy. So
He did.
yeah,
And I was high on him and Devin was low, yet you drafted him.
yeah,
Yep.
towards the end of the draft, and he was available.
I wasn't necessarily high on your Flaherty. I mean, not that he's not good. I just pretty much wouldn't have picked him. That's just
Hmm.
how I would have drafted. Granke's a question mark. I know he's good, but I
Yeah.
don't know how he's gonna turn out this year. And he's been questionable other years too, so I'm not sure. Who is Taylor Rogers? I actually don't know who he is.
Um,
I mean, he's a reliever
just-
of Minnesota, but I've
yeah, that's. I mean, last year he really wasn't super great, but I kind of just needed relief pitching, and he was one of the better ones available. So figured why
Hmm.
not? Again,
Oh.
towards the end of the end of the draft, he might have actually been my last pick in the draft. So
and
Protected
then
21
Nick
safe.
Nick Madrig. I can't pronounce it. Madrigal.
Mad, that's how I think you said it, from the Chicago White Sox. Yeah, I got him late. I was actually fairly surprised that he was there from
We got
the numbers that he put last year. Looked pretty good, and this year he's projected to have a really good year. So I really needed a second baseman, and I was able to snag him with in the 17th round.
You went second base pretty late.
Yeah, I did for sure.
I mean, you do have Chris Taylor who does play second technically, but he's mainly an outfielder. But
Mhm.
I assume you picked him for the outfield in general.
Another guy that I'm very happy that I have on my team, just to say, is an X Factor. I said in our previous episode, Shohei Ohtani.
Yep.
I get that
Good job.
DH and starting pitching depth or flexibility, and I got him in the 19th round. So I was very surprised he was available for me there.
I would
All
not
right.
have picked Clint Frazier or Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez. Wow.
They were both in the late 20s. I figured, Flyers, depth pieces, someone in the Yankees outfield is going to get hurt, and Clint Frazier's going to get a chance to play.
I just know it's coming with my team being ripped. I know there's one pick
Okay.
that you're both
So
in
the first,
league.
the first one, guys, he drafted Kirby Yates without knowing that he was not gonna play.
Yep, reports are saying that it's looking like Tommy John surgery for him.
That, ugh. That
And
was
literally,
4 hours before the draft, and our JM saying that he's very well connected, he's very smart, he knows everything.
everyone was ripping on him on the chat.
Now, there was another pick that people were kind of surprised about, another reliever that people were like, oh, you reached.
me and
Yeah.
Devin totally agree, and we're Mets fans. Why'd you pick Edwin
And he was my
Diaz
ex.
so freaking early? I don't know. There were some other relievers that I would have picked over him, but that's your strategy. We'll see how that works. I'm hoping your strategy works because then the Mets will actually win games, which
It
would
just
be nice.
felt like, JM, your strategy just felt like half of it was, trying to annoy me and Kyle by picking people that we like, which
No, it's
that's
called
fine.
get
No,
Mets.
that's fine,
yeah,
but it's just an
relievers.
odd way to go
Huh?
about,
Just get Mets.
building your team. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Mickey Moniak is really gonna do anything for you this year. I mean,
I
That
don't
was-
think
doesn't
so.
make the
I don't
team.
think so either.
And I don't know. I don't know what I was saying.
And yeah, that was a late round pick for you, so I can't really.
That's my
comment
last
on that
pick.
too
My
much.
Mr. Irrelevant.
I'm interested in your. There's no way I can say this guy's name. You can't even
Randy
see it.
Arena.
Yep, good job. I think he's a very interesting pick. I know we're ripping on each other, but that's kind of a risk reward kind of thing. We don't know what's going to happen, but if it is a reward, it's a big reward. So
Also interesting that you only have 2 starting pitchers.
Well, for now.
that's his strategy though. He
Mm, yeah.
goes with relievers and then adds a bunch of starters.
Well, I had trying to. add
Look
two starters
out,
a day.
Devin. Look out. He will
Okay.
screw you over, this guy.
Because you
He
blew
will
a
find
70-point
he will
lead.
find any way to screw the opponent over just so he can freaking get some points at the very end. Just tick you
There's
off.
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just mad that you blew a 70-point lead.
Yeah, a 70-point lead. Can you imagine that, people? In fantasy baseball, someone getting 70 points because they picked up I don't
It was
know,
115
8 freaking
points.
players on the last day just to kick my ass. I couldn't tell you how frustrated I was. I was literally
I enjoyed the phone call very much. It was so fun.
I called like 3 people. I was throwing a tantrum. I think it lasted like 3 hours.
It was a tantrum on the chat.
I
I
was
remember.
I was jumping around. I almost hit my door. Almost. I was close.
How Kyle feels about this is how JM feels about the rule changes. They are both very butthurt about them. Each
Correct.
Well, the
other's.
rule change is more ridiculous than choking. I mean,
Bullshit.
yes, it's right. And that's
I've
I'm gonna
talked
rip
to
you. I'm
many
not even gonna
people.
rip your team.
I've talked
I'm gonna
to-
rip your rule changes. They were
I've
bad
talked-
rules.
I've talked to
Oh, who
people
cares?
in the
Who cares
league
what the other
and they
people-
all
Here's what-
concur.
One other person in the league said that was
No.
they didn't like
No,
it.
no,
One
no,
other person
no.
in the chat.
I
One other. So
yeah, in the
couple
chat.
people get mad.
You have no idea all the texts I went through. And there was only one person who did not even respond. But everyone else was like, yeah,
Show the
that'll
proof.
work.
Show the
That'll
proof.
work. I didn't
See the
even know
proof.
he was doing that.
Show the proof. I want receipts.
I'll send you the text. I'll send you the text.
I want receipts.
Sure. No
Also,
problem.
who cares?
Hey.
Oh, a bunch of people are upset because they're not smart enough to realize what's going on in the league.
Don't question anyone's
do you not-
intelligence.
How do you not see? It's literally you go on and you see what's happening. Oh, he's adding 5 pitchers. Isn't he over the 12 limit? He's adding that
yes,
many
guy
pitchers?
he
needs
is.
Bobby John surgery. Better draft him.
Listen,
So
that was
for-
one little
Hold on. So
mistake.
for everyone who doesn't know the rule change, the rule change is you can only make 9 acquisitions during a 7-day matchup.
9 is ridiculous. That
It
is
is
absolutely
not ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. It should be
This
at
means
least
you-
14, but it should
That
be
means if you want to add players here and there throughout the week, you can do that. But if you just want to keep your team as it is and then just pick up a bunch of players at the end, you can do that.
What about adding
Yep.
every day? That makes it so you're paying attention every
So
day.
you can
That's
do
the
1 or
point of
2 a day.
fantasy
Yeah.
baseball.
You don't need to do a million every day.
I did 2 a
Exactly.
day. I did 2 a day. There's not a million.
And
a
then
day.
you got 8 in the last day.
It'd be like 5, except the very last day in which I got 8, because I didn't want to let go too many relievers. But I'd take like 5 on Sunday.
So pressing on from our craziness.
Debate. This is a show about debates.
Rip my team apart, guys. See what you got.
I mean, I just still can't believe you went with Justin Turner, the man you've so
Yeah.
ripped apart.
Um,
That's just what I'm gonna say. If you're gonna rip a man apart and then pick him in fantasy, yeah.
I mean, like Ottavino, I don't really think is gonna be as good. I mean, he was definitely on the decline last year. Charlie Morton, again, he doesn't really
36.
scare me. I don't think he's, that incredible.
disagree
Other than
with
that,
you.
there's not really anything I really hate or anything like that on your team.
So the ones that I'm a little concerned about is, like you said, Ottavino. Turner, I'm stashing because first off, he's a good backup third baseman, or if someone is off, he can go in the first/third base slot.
Right.
Pablo Lopez was my last pick. He's another starter. I'm just gonna see how he does for his first few starts, see if it's worth holding on to. Like you said, Devin, I don't think Altavino is gonna be good. I might drop. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a huge tinkerer when it comes to fantasy baseball. I almost tinker every day, and
A lot.
yeah, whether it's ad dropping, claiming, trading, whatever it is, someone might want Turner,
Kyle
and
is a rock.
I could get a very nice starter or another awesome backup second baseman. That's another thing I don't really have is a backup second baseman. And I think I need another outfielder. So a second base/outfielder would really be nice. JM, I actually have a question for you.
Yes.
What do you know and what do you like about Pomerantz? Because I
Oh
read,
my god, I'm not doing this again.
not you, Devin, I'm asking JM because he's San Diego. But
Oof.
I read that, he's still competing for
he
the
was-
closer spot.
Yeah, he was a starter for the Padres like 3 or 4 years ago. Was decent, but then kind of regressed a bit after he got traded to Boston, and then was switched to reliever. Had a career renaissance, and now very well is in the running to be the Padres closer. Now the one risk with that, with a guy like that, is I'd prefer my relievers to be like the closer, because
But do you
middle
sim
relievers and setup men.
do you
I'm
see
explaining.
him as the closer, or do you see that Melancon guy or whoever?
Melanson.
Yeah.
I'd have to see. I haven't really been paying attention to the closer battle. I think Melanson's pretty good. So it's going to be a tough, pretty tough for Pomeranz to take that job. But at least when I'm drafting, I'd want to really make sure the guy's going to be a closer because saves are very valuable. Middle
Definitely.
relievers and setup men are not as valuable because you really need with closers. You have a chance at that 3 points with saves, or 5 points for a win as well, which sometimes happens.
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of wait and see if
Yeah,
he's
wait and
gonna
see
be
what
the
Pomeranz.
closer. Yeah, I thought he was the set closer.
There's definitely a battle in
Yeah.
San Diego for the closer position. However, whoever's going to be the closer for San Diego, I think it's going to be pretty good because I think I brought it up on a previous episode. We've been pretty good at developing our closers.
I mean, I'm not a really huge fan of. I keep pronouncing the name wrong, but Melanson.
Melanson.
There you go. I'm not a huge fan of him. I've seen him multiple times throughout fantasy, and he doesn't really produce. And maybe he'll be just a good closer in general, but
Well, he's
I
going to be on a
don't.
better team.
Yes. I just don't know how he will be in fantasy. So we'll see. One of my so-and-so pickups that I'm just using as a backup outfielder is Benintendi. I'm just hoping he bounces back. There's really nothing else to look at except see how he does and see how he continues. And then at one point I might drop him. Who knows? Devin, do you only have 2 Mets?
I also have Stroman
Oh, so
and
3.
yeah, and then I have Carrasco, but he's gonna be on the IL, beginning of the
Oh,
year.
so you have 4.
The
Yeah,
non-Mets
well,
are the
Carrasco
favorite
was
baseball
just
spot
such a
pick.
good value.
JM, how many Mets
Honestly.
do you have?
Let's see. Obviously, I have Edwin Diaz. I then
Yep.
have, obviously, Michael Conforto. I think it's just 2 Mets. Yeah, 2. I have 2 Mets. I have, obviously, Machado, Tatis, and 3 Padres.
I only have 1 Met. Isn't that
Wow.
amazing?
Well, the
And
thing
that
is,
is
there's a lot of
Mr.
Mets fans in
That
our
is
league.
Mr. Dom Smith, who gives me first base and outfield, which is really nice.
Wow.
I got 3 San Diegos as well, and unfortunately, without kind of noticing, basically, I stacked up on Dodger players and Oakland. And I was
Well, at least you didn't get any injured people.
right.
Oh, yeah, wish I hadn't done that.
All right, I think that pretty much wraps it. So thank you everyone for joining our special
Fantasy
draft.
baseball special
Yes,
draft.
special draft episode. Thank you very much. It's very exciting to us, and you can obviously see our energy here.
Our
I'm pretty
passion.
much like that every day of the week when it comes to fantasy baseball.
Oh,
Um,
believe me,
It's
I know it.
yeah, it's
That
constant
rant,
stress.
that rant on the chat last year after you lost. Oh boy, that will go in the annals of all-time great rants.
Something broke in my brain.
You were pissed.
Beyond piss. Not. I don't even know what the word is. Just
It was hilarious.
I couldn't think. I wasn't even thinking. I was just blurting out words, cursing, like stomping around like a little child in Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you again, everyone, for joining our draft episode. It's very exciting. I hope you are just
Like,
as
subscribe.
excited, whether you're doing fantasy or not. You should keep checking in because we're going to have this level of energy throughout the
Throughout
whole
the season.
season. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Yep.
keep joining us and we're going to have some fun.
Like,
And
subscribe, comment. We love you guys.
Subscribe,
Yep.
like, view it a bunch
Share.
of times, whatever
Click
you
the
can
bell
do.
icon.
Yes.
Peace out.
Peace.
As you saw this year, we got 275 ERA. Fly ball, hammer, deep left field. Welcome back. Diving stop, Correa gets up to throw to first.
Last down, it's been a perfect start.
And that's strike 3. 1-1 from Lowe. Been a breaking ball hit in the air by center field. The out. Ground ball.
Hey,